Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome back to my podcast if you're listening to this episode in the audio version only. My name is Rux, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and today we are going to be talking about the new moon in Leo happening on the 28th of July 2022 at 5:54 p.m. GMT time at 5 degrees 38 minutes of Leo. So if you in your natal chart have personal planets and angles such as the ascendant or the midheaven around 5 degrees of fixed signs, you are going to feel this new moon the most. What are the fixed signs? Let's recap. Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio. Before we start talking astrology, let me mention a few important things. I'm a Western tropical astrologer, therefore all videos on my channel, all episodes on my podcast will follow Western tropical astrology. In my practice, I use the whole sign house system. If you want to work with me, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is writteninthestars-astrology.com. At the time when I'm filming this, I am taking bookings for the month of August, but probably by the time I will release this, I will be taking bookings for both August and September, probably end of August and beginning of September. I'm currently only doing live Zoom consultations. The live Zoom consultations are also recorded if you want to, so that you can rewatch, so that you can re-listen to them. And in a live Zoom consultation with me, you can get a better understanding of the life chapter that you're in. We can look into the year ahead. We can look at the major challenges, but also opportunities that you are likely to deal with. Certainly, if you have not had your natal chart interpreted up until this point by a professional astrologer, then we can definitely also analyze your lifetime themes. We can help you get back in touch with your soul's intentions, reconnect with your soul's intentions, because ultimately that is what astrology is meant to do. It is meant to help us get back in touch with our higher selves, with our divine mind, with the part of us that already has all the answers that we are looking for. Also, in a live Zoom consultation, we can look into your compatibility with someone else. We can look into your astrocartography. The consultation is completely customizable to your needs. But enough chit chat. Let's talk about the astrology of the upcoming new moon in Leo. New moons represent new beginnings. It is a great time to set intentions. It is a great time to kick off a new chapter. It is also a great time, in general, when a new moon comes about, to ask yourself, what do I want to create in my life? And speaking of creation, this particular new moon is incredibly powerful when it comes to creating something, just because in general in astrology, Leo has a special affinity. The Leo energy has a special affinity with the act of creation, and creation in which we pour our heart, soul, and identity into. Leo wants to be seen for how they authentically are, and I'm not referring here to you or someone else who has a Leo sun. I'm referring in general to the archetypal energy of Leo. So this new moon speaks of an important new beginning, a beginning that has some sort of creative seed in it. So ask yourself, what am I planting? What seeds am I planting? And what creative projects do I want to be acknowledged and recognized for? The full moon, my apologies, the new moon on the 28th of July is very nicely aspected to Jupiter. The great benefic, the bringer of good luck, of abundance, of opportunities, of prosperity, and of expansion. On the 28th of July, actually, Jupiter goes retrograde. So at the time of the new moon, it's going to be stationary and about to turn retrograde. A planet that is stationary is said to be even more powerful. This is a very important new moon of the year. Why? Because in general, when it comes to the transits of the slow-moving planets, such as Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, etc., these planets need a lunation, such as a new moon or a full moon, or they need a transit of a faster moving planet, such as Mercury, to activate the themes that they bring about in our life. So this can be an exciting new beginning in the direction of creative growth for all of us. At a collective level, it can be the beginning of an exciting new chapter educationally, especially for children. The spotlight is likely to be placed on children. Leo is very strongly linked with the energy of children. It may feel like we are stepping into an exciting new territory when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to movies, when it comes to theater, when it comes to how we have fun at a collective level. The seeds that we are planting now may take at least 6 months to turn into something tangible. And Jupiter is going to go retrograde until the 23rd of November. So after this new seed is planted, it may feel like we're going backwards a little bit or retracing our steps, or the progress, the forward motion is being stalled a bit. Something also incredibly important is happening after this new moon. On the 1st of August, but we may already be feeling this at the time of the new moon, on the 1st of August, Mars, transiting Mars, will conjunct Uranus and the North Node in Taurus. Now, a few things may come about here. The new moon can also bring a new type of leader to our attention. A charismatic, prominent leader. There could be new elections. There could be this sense of, oh, we've got something to be looking forward to. We've got this kind of like figure to admire. This figure is going to tell us, yes, this is the way to go. On the other hand, it feels like this new moon is also putting the spotlight on a huge disruption on an economic level. We're going to talk about this also in the August horoscopes, but basically, Mars, which is the planet of action, is strongly activating the themes of the North Node and of Uranus and Taurus. The North Node is concerned with a new path, a fated path. Uranus is the planet of disruption and revolution. We may experience some sort of like revolutionary moves due to economic conditions. We may experience violent protests. We may experience a violent shakeup of the economy, also potentially of the food chain, of agriculture. There can be this sense of something erupting, something coming to a boiling point, and as a result, it needs to be changed drastically. There can be some explosive turns of events, not just economically, but also when it comes to the constructions industry, the food industry. I mean, I suppose these are all kind of like somehow obviously linked with the economy. Please forgive me if I don't have the best vocabulary in speaking about these things, because obviously I'm not an economist. I'm not specialized in this field. I only interpret things from an astrological perspective, from the perspective of the astrological symbolism. There could also be some explosive discoveries connected with the human body, connected with matter, with tangible matter, connected with food. There could be some sort of like huge discovery linked with how we feed ourselves and how we kind of like sustain and support the body. There can be an excessive enthusiasm at the time of this new moon on the 20th of July, and this could also somehow correspond to maybe accidents or violence as the 1st of August approaches. Don't take unnecessary risks. That is my big recommendation. If you do go to a protest, my recommendation is to take precautionary measures because it can get bad. I mean, people are likely to go out there and to fight for what they believe in, which obviously in the grand scheme of things is a good thing, but in the short term, it can prove very problematic physically for people and in terms of their stability and in terms of their financial security. There can also be some big falls around this time on the political scene. But if anything, what I see is the rise of specific leaders at this time. But leaders that have like a very disruptive agenda. I don't want to say a violent agenda, but they could have a violent agenda. An agenda that will rub a lot of people the wrong way. That could also result potentially, once again, in protests. On an individual level, the new moon is likely to be more enjoyable. On a collective level, man, this is hard. I kid you not. I would also keep an eye on the technological playing ground because there could be some important technological breakthroughs at this time, but that also posed some very important maybe ethical questions. I'd say we're stepping into uncharted territory here, which feels exhilarating, but it also feels like it opens us up to abuses of power. Now, let's talk about what this new moon is likely to bring about on a personal level, on an individual level. We're going to go through the updates for each of the 12 zodiac signs, but do remember that I strongly recommend that you listen first and foremost to the update for your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, then listen to the update for your sun sign. But if you know your time of birth, or if you can ask your mom about your time of birth, I would go online, I would Google natal chart generator, and I would put in your date, time, and place of birth, and that's how you're going to find out your rising sign. Or the ascendant, they're used synonymously, but they're not the same thing. The ascendant is the exact degree of the rising sign. So, my dear Aries suns and Aries risings. 20th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you're experiencing a new moon in your 5th house. In a harmonious aspect to Jupiter in your 1st house of identity. Now, Jupiter is going to go retrograde afterwards, on the 20th of July, actually, until the 23rd of November. So this is a fantastic opportunity. Take advantage of it, Aries. This is a fantastic opportunity for you to plant a creative seed in your life, to start off a creative project, to maybe start working on something that feels almost like your baby, that you've been always meaning to invest time and attention into. Jupiter is the ruler of your 9th house and of your 12th house. It feels like you're having possibly also some sort of spiritual epiphany around this time, Aries, about what brings you joy, about what gets you out of bed in the morning, about what makes your life worth living. You could discover a new talent around this time, and it feels like it's opening up all sorts of doors for you. You could also feel very excited about some sort of journey that you're about to embark upon. A journey, a physical journey, as in traveling abroad, or a spiritual journey. It is a time of spiritual epiphanies. It is a time of aha moments about yourself. It's also an exciting time romantically, I dare say, my lovely Aries. A new romantic relationship could start flourishing at this point in time, which is determining you to ask yourself, have my expectations changed in terms of love? Have I changed? Do I now see love differently? The answer is probably, to a certain degree, yes. This could also be a time of good news, of very positive news, of news that make you excited for your future. This could be a time when you hear something connected with children and potentially pregnancy, potentially. It could be a time also when you start investing more of your energy and attention into your passions and your hobbies, and you have this sort of like boost in energy, where you feel like you can take on the world, take on anyone and everyone. I'm excited about this new moon for you, my dear Aries. It's a fun time. It's definitely also a romantic time, regardless of whether you're single or with someone else. It also feels like you're having a bit of an epiphany connected with your value system and what you want to invest your resources into moving forward, my lovely Aries. Now, if you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, on the 20th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you are experiencing a new moon in your 4th house of home and living situation, in a harmonious aspect to Jupiter in your 12th house. Now, Jupiter for you rules the 8th house and the 11th house of long-term plans. It feels like you're about to start transforming your home and family life, my dear Taurus, in a very kind of like private way. So you might start, I don't know, let's say making plans to move into a new home. You may feel like you have found the right home for you. You may physically actually move at this point in time. You might start, some Taurians might start trying for a baby. Some Taurians might hear positive news potentially connected with maybe money that they want to channel towards their home. The family seems to be growing and expanding, and maybe without you having necessarily exactly planned for it. This could also be a time maybe when you consider moving abroad or moving kind of like further out from where you are now, so that you can have more peace, more quiet, so that you can have more space also. I'm excited for you. I'm also excited for probably one of your parents, because there could be something significant that happens in their life that pushes them closer to one of their long-term goals and plans. Now, if you are a Gemini sun or a Gemini rising, on the 20th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a new moon taking place in your 3rd house of connections, of communication, of short distance travel, forming a harmonious aspect to Jupiter in Aries in the 11th house. It feels like this is a time when you meet someone very important who you're likely to collaborate for the long run, my dear Geminis, on an intellectual project, on an educational project. You could also collaborate with this person professionally moving forward, but it does feel like this is going to involve a lot of traveling, a lot of short distance trips, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of back and forth. You could also feel inspired to start some sort of course or class at this point in time, Geminis, and if you decide to do so, it will probably be incredibly impactful in a positive way. When it comes to your long-term goals and plans for the future, including your professional goals. If you decided to kick off a course or a class, you could also make some really good friends there and form some important connections for your career for the long run. So I say, do it, do it, do it, do it. But obviously you've got free will. You can do whatever you please, Geminis. Now, if you are a Cancer sun or a Cancer rising like yours truly here, 28th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, I'm liking this. There is a new moon happening in your second house of income, Cancerians, in a trine to Jupiter in Aries in your 10th house of career. Jupiter is also the ruler of your 6th house of day-to-day work. My dear Cancerians, are you getting a raise? Are you getting a new job? Are you applying for a promotion? Because if you are, you're probably going to be successful. I dare say do it. If you have any sort of interviews scheduled for this time, if you're thinking of applying for a new opportunity, go, 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 go. It is time. If you're thinking of launching something important, something significant career-wise, this is your time to do so. It will probably be incredibly successful for you from a material standpoint, and it looks like it's also very well received by others, especially those who are knowledgeable enough and powerful enough to say, yes, this is valuable. It may also feel like you are revisiting your current financial situation, Cancerians, not because you have less money, but because you have more. So it's like, okay, how do I spend my money now? So you're in a very good position. Apply for that job, say yes to it, say yes to the interview, launch whatever it is that you need to launch if you're working for yourself. If you're thinking of starting an apprenticeship or something of that nature, it feels like it's something that is going to develop long-term talents that will be invaluable for your professional success. I'm like, all systems go. Literally, I kid you not. If you are a Leo sun or a Leo rising, let's see. 20th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a new moon in your first house of identity, super nicely aspected to Jupiter in Aries in the 9th house of foreign lands, of foreign countries. Jupiter for you, my lovely Leos, rules your 5th house and your 8th house. It's almost like you're being reborn. It's the beginning of a new personal chapter of growth for you Leos. You may start seeing yourself through a new lens. You might change your look. You might start implementing within the way you approach life in general a whole new set of beliefs. This could be a time when you travel, and if you do travel, you're having some very important epiphanies about yourself and about who you want to be moving forward. It also feels like a time when you are finding almost like a new level of respect for yourself. It could be a time when you start focusing on you more. It's like, I deserve to focus on myself a lot more. This can also be a time when you feel like, man, I've got so much clarity when it comes to what matters to me moving forward from a professional standpoint. It feels like you're taking a risk at this point in time, a very important personal risk, but at the same time, it also feels like you're being pushed in the direction of your fate and destiny from a professional standpoint, since a few days after this new moon, Mars will conjunct Uranus and the North Node in your 10th house of career. Now, if you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, on the 20th of July, Virgos, 3 days before, 3 days after also, you're experiencing a new moon in your 12th house, in a harmonious aspect to Jupiter in Aries in your 8th house of transformation. This feels like a new beginning for you, my dear Virgos. From a mental health perspective that you are very excited about. It feels like you're having a breakthrough moment. It feels like you're finally starting to process something that has been plaguing you from the background, from the shadows. It feels like you're illuminating, and this is very empowering. You're illuminating one of your blind spots and you're saying, So this was sabotaging me. So this is how I was engaging in, I don't know, like self-destructive behaviors or something of that type. It also feels like you're entering a new spiritual chapter of your life, a spiritual chapter that is likely to bring almost like an infusion of joy in your life and a sense of being looked after and taken care of greater forces out there, of greater universal forces. It may also feel like you are finally leaving behind a wound from the past, maybe something that was taking its toll on you emotionally. Also, a parent may finally be overcoming some sort of phase of suffering in their life. They may feel much better equipped to deal with this type of issue moving forward. It also feels like you're ready to let go on an old set of goals, maybe, and you're kind of like excited to be diving inwards to see what really sparks joy, and give yourself permission to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to your plans. We are going to have, a few days after this new moon, a conjunction between Uranus, Mars, and the North Node in Taurus in your 9th house. That feels like a time, and you may feel it already at the time of the new moon, but especially around the 1st of August, it feels like you're having some powerful spiritual epiphanies. It also feels like justice is served. It's like you are seeing the truth. You're getting what you deserve. Balance is being restored, maybe unexpectedly so, in your life. It's almost like those who wronged you are getting what they deserve in a way. That's what it feels like. Now, if you are a Libra sun or a Libra rising, 20th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you're experiencing a new moon in your 11th house. This is a great time, dear Libras, to set new goals for the future. I dare say very courageous goals. Why courageous goals? Because the new moon is very nicely aspected to Jupiter and Aries in your 7th house of relationships. So set courageous goals together with a partner, because you have the backing of someone very powerful. You have a very strong partner next to you. They could be a business partner. They could be a romantic partner. You could be making new plans for the future with a romantic partner, which definitely it's something to be looking forward to. It may feel like you're taking a big risk together with a partner. You could also have something to announce to the outside world, but again, it feels like it's somehow in conjunction with someone else. Jupiter is also the ruler of your 6th house of day-to-day work. That's why I'm thinking, yes, this could also be a professional partner. You could also attend some sort of group type of event around this time, my dear Libras, and feel like you have connected with the person that you want to work with moving forward. So if you are invited, or if you're thinking of attending any sort of networking event at this point in time, I'd say go for it. Also, 1st of August, maybe the few days before, the few days after, is an important date because Uranus, Mars, and the North Node are conjunct in Taurus in your 8th house. So I'm thinking there's someone bringing a significant amount of resources in your life. There's also this sense of an unexpected, a very powerful but unexpected development in the area of shared resources, of shared assets that you have in common with someone else. You might also have some sort of epiphany from an intimacy perspective in terms of what really works for you moving forward. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, 20th of July, Scorpios, 3 days before, 3 days after, you're experiencing a new moon in your 10th house of career in a harmonious aspect to Jupiter and Aries in the 6th house of day-to-day work. Scorpios, New career path, new beginning, new role, new position. You're climbing higher up the ladder. It feels like you are receiving the recognition that you deserve. Some Scorpios may be launching an important business venture. They could be launching a new service. Some Scorpios may feel like they are finally being appreciated for the fantastic leaders that they are, because it does feel like you are a fantastic leader. A few days after, not before, this new moon, we have a conjunction between Mars, Uranus, and the North Node in your 7th house of relationships. So it could feel like something drastic and dramatic is happening also in the life of a partner that somehow also changes your status out into the world. It changes the way the world sees you, but you're excited about this new beginning. So aim high, Scorpios. If you are a Sagittarius sun or a Sagittarius rising, 20th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you are experiencing a new moon in the 9th house. You could be making plans to travel at this time. You could be signing up for a degree, like an undergraduate degree or a master's or a PhD. You could be embarking upon an exciting new academic venture. You could also feel like you are entering a new chapter from a philosophical, religious, or spiritual standpoint, from the standpoint of your beliefs. It's like, man, I see the truth now, and I can see the world from up here, and all of this makes sense. You could feel inspired to invest more of your time and energy into understanding this new belief system that you're so excited about, Sagittarius. Jupiter is the ruler of your sense of self, and also of your 4th house of home. I mean, you could see things very differently in terms of where you want to live moving forward. You could feel very much at home within a new culture. If you're traveling around this time, you could be feeling inspired to maybe move to a new country. If you're waiting for good news, I'm like, of course, everyone's waiting for good news. But if you're waiting for news connected with visas, travel, residency, passports, etc., they're probably going to be great news. Great news, Sagittarius. If you are a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, 28th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you're experiencing a new moon in your 8th house of shared assets, intimacy, and psychological transformation in a harmonious aspect to Jupiter in Aries in your 4th house of home. Capricorns, you are probably receiving a lump sum of money at this point in time. It could be a gift from the family, it could be an inheritance, it could be insurance money. It is probably coming to you without you necessarily being prepared for it. It's like, okay, I did not see this coming. It may feel like you're going through a tremendous transformation at home in your home and family life, and this will require you reevaluating together with a partner your budget. This could also be a time when something massive, something significant seems to be happening in the area of children. So if you have children, then they could have some exciting news to share with you. Maybe news that takes you by surprise, but you're like, okay, I see you, I love you, this is fantastic if this is how you want to move forward. It may also feel like you have uncovered a deeper layer of intimacy together with a romantic partner. If you're not with someone. So okay, if you're not with someone romantically, I also want to put on your radar the 1st of August, a few days before, a few days after as well, because that's when Uranus, Mars, and the North Node are conjunct in your 5th house of romantic love. It may feel like you have a fated experience, a fated encounter romantically, and it's like, wow. My mind is blown kind of thing. Now, if you are an Aquarius sun or an Aquarius rising, 28th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after, you're experiencing a new moon in your 7th house of relationships, really nicely aspected to Jupiter and Aries in your 3rd house of communication. So those of you who are single, my dear Aquarians, are likely to meet someone and they're likely to say, wow, we are on the same page. We get along so well. Like we complete each other's phrases. It's like you're ahead of me, but we're like on the same wavelength in terms of thought patterns and thought processes. Your partner, if you're already in a relationship, could have some great news to share with you, probably connected with your finances. Just saying. Your partner might also get a new car around this time. Your partner might also start taking some classes or courses, and you're feeling super proud because it feels like this is something that is going to make a difference also somehow in your own relationship. So in the dynamic between the two of you. One more thing. If you are looking for any sort of advisor, especially a financial advisor, you're likely to find an amazing advisor around this time. Even an accountant. I would really kind of like talk to people and feel like, see who you're drawn to, feel your way into this. I bet there's going to be people out there who say, Rux, what are you talking about? Feel your way into choosing an accountant? I'm like, man, energy doesn't lie. Sometimes you just have a hunch about someone and you're like, yeah, let's do it. In any case, it feels like you're finding someone who is very competent, who takes a novel, exciting approach to finances, and you're like, oh my God. It feels like you're very...
telling me? Oh, wait. You just told me.
Hey, Siri, stop.
There's nothing to stop here.
So they're always listening to us, folks. They're always listening to us. This is funny. Okay, Aquarius, something else to keep on your radar. On the 1st of August, but you may already be sensing this, you may already be feeling this at the time of the new moon on the 28th, you are going to experience Uranus, the North Node, and Mars conjunct in your 4th house of home. Something is going through a tremendous shift in your home and family life, Aquarius. You could be at a crossroads where you need to move, where you need to relocate, where you realize that your living situation will no longer look the same. There could also be, I hate to say it, some sort of like technological device going through a harder time around the 1st of August, so something might fall apart, but it is time to purchase something new. It is time to maybe renew your gadgets. And last but not least, Pisces suns and Pisces risings. 20th of July, 3 days before, 3 days after. You're experiencing a new moon in your 6th house of health and work, in a trine to Jupiter and Aries in your 2nd house of income. Pisces, this to me feels like a great time for you work-wise. You could be getting a new client, you could be getting paid more, you could be increasing your rates. Especially if you're working for yourself, I strongly recommend increasing your rates. Be bold. You could also feel ready to invest more of your money into developing a new skill, a skill that you know is going to pay off financially moving forward. Jupiter is also the ruler of your 10th house of career. So I'm like, whatever you feel inspired to spend money on in order to get better at skills-wise, pursue that, lovely Pisces. If you need to schedule an interview around this time, go for it. Also, if you need to start a new health regimen, go for it, because you have the confidence, you have the audacity, you have the energy needed to stick to this new health regimen and to kind of like adhere to this like new set of habits. You could hear some really, I want to say, life-altering news around the 1st of August, when Uranus, Mars, and the North Node are conjunct in your 3rd house. They could be life-altering news connected with siblings, connected with a colleague, and also there could be a sense of an epiphany connected with your education and connected with how your ways of thinking and your ways of communicating with others need to change. And that is your new moon in Leo update, folks. Don't forget, if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. You can go to the services section and book a 1-hour live Zoom consultation with me. If you are on Instagram, you can also follow me at Rux Unbelievable in one word. That's RUX Unbelievable. I post more regular updates on Instagram and also live updates, just in case you are interested. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe. Thank you and enjoy the new moon in Leo.